Is live at the Intrepid in New York City. President Trump is headed there later today to speak. Give us your sense of what lies ahead, John.
Well, I think a lot of work lies ahead for the president. You heard Kevin McCarthy, you heard the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, both say that they have never seen a president that's this involved in getting legislation passed. Well, any heavy lifting that he had to do in the House will probably pale in comparison to what he's going to have to do in the weeks ahead in the Senate. And it looks like it is going to be weeks. Bill Cassidy, the senator from Louisiana, said that he doesn't expect that this will come to the floor, if at all, according to some people. But according to Cassidy, it won't come to the floor for weeks yet. So there's a lot of heavy lifting to do. And part of the problem is you've got this big thing in the Senate that's called the Byrd rule. And any piece of legislation that comes through the reconciliation process has to go through what's called, referred to at least as the Byrd bath. And there are certain things that will go through the Byrd bath and certain things that won't. And there's a worry that this latest amendment, which is what got this bill across the finish line, may run afoul of the Byrd rule. And it was Charles Schumer who brought that up. Now, he could just be looking for a reason to not put this thing through the Senate. But it is going to be looked at. The Senate Budget Committee was heavily involved in vetting the language of the MacArthur-Meadows amendment, so they think they've got that square. But still, John, a lot of unknowns here. But the president vowing that this thing is going to make it through the Senate, and he will sign it, and it will become law. John?
He did sound very positive as that Rose Garden ceremony got underway. John Roberts at the Intrepid in New York City. Thank you. Let's bring in our senior Capitol Hill producer, Chad Pergram. Chad, they must be breathing a sigh of relief in the Republican conference on the House side right now.
Yeah, this was a tight vote. You know, they could lose only one more vote and still pass it. Had it gone down to 215 to 215, by rule, that's a tie, and you can't pass a bill on a tie. That by rule loses. This was a tighter turning radius than what Democrats had when they passed the original version of Obamacare in 2009. On that vote, they could lose 3 votes, and when they passed the final version, they could lose 4. So this was even tighter this time. And again, as John said, the question is the United States Senate. One of the things that House members who were reluctant to vote for this bill, they were saying maybe this will never see the light of day in the Senate, and maybe they're on the hook now for voting for something that goes into the Senate abyss.
It's my understanding that that Martha McSally, member of Congress from Arizona, introduced language to make sure that members of Congress have to live under the terms of whatever it is that they're passing here ultimately.
Right. That was a bill that passed immediately before they voted on the health care bill because they couldn't put that provision into this bill under the reconciliation rules. Again, that's what John Roberts referred to, the Byrd rule that helps them avoid Senate filibusters. If they put it in there, that's something that would have dropped out in the Byrd bath. They call those, well, this is Senate cornpone humor for you, Byrd droppings. And so they had to do this as a separate piece of legislation over there.
All right. So where does it go now from here? They're going to rush it over to the Senate, right? But you get the indication from Mitch McConnell, the majority leader in the Senate, that they're going to do what the Senate does and deliberate, be sort of slow-paced about this thing.
Absolutely. You know, Senator McConnell put out kind of a bland statement saying, you know, Obamacare needs to go, but gave no indication of timeline. You have to look at conservatives over there who are very leery of this bill because they might argue it doesn't fully repeal and replace Obamacare. That's what Senator Rand Paul was talking about. Mike Lee from Utah, Ted Cruz. You have moderates like Susan Collins. The breakdown in the Senate is 52 Republicans and 48 Democrats who caucus there. You can only lose one or you get into a tie. And again, I would look at senators who are up in 2018 or from swing districts. Now, most of those are on the Democratic side this next round. But again, look at the number of the Republicans who voted no in the House of Representatives. They're from swing districts or districts that Hillary Clinton carried. David Joyce from Northeast Ohio, Will Hurd from Texas. That's what you got to look at.
Chad Pergram, our Capitol Hill producer. Nobody knows Capitol Hill better.